Converting analysis into findings is really the moment where the investigation becomes something usable. Up until now, we've been gathering information, organizing it, and making sense of it. But findings are where all that work gets translated into a formal, defensible record, something leadership can rely on to take lawful and proportionate action. It's the stage where a messy pile of facts becomes a clear narrative about what happened and why. When we talk about findings, we're talking about factual conclusions based on the totality of the evidence. And in workplace investigations, we don't use a criminal standard like beyond a reasonable doubt. We use the preponderance of evidence, the balance of probabilities. Sometimes people call it the 50% plus a feather test. If it's more likely than not that the conduct occurred, the standard is met. And as long as the employer can show they conducted an adequate investigation and reached a reasoned, good faith conclusion, they're generally protected, even if that conclusion is later challenged. Most investigations end with one of three outcomes for each allegation. A finding can be substantiated, meaning there's enough evidence to show the conduct occurred and breached policy. It can be unsubstantiated, meaning there isn't enough evidence either way. Or it can be unfounded, meaning the evidence shows the claim was false. Clear categorization helps everyone understand exactly where the evidence landed. To make findings defensible, they need to be written with precision and objectivity. We present them as tight chronological snippets, each tied directly to a specific piece of evidence. We separate what's not in dispute from what is, and we always explain the why. It's not enough to say an allegation is substantiated, we need to explain why one version of events was preferred over another, pointing to corroboration, credibility factors, or inconsistencies. A good test is asking yourself whether you'd be comfortable seeing your reasoning published in a major newspaper. If the logic is sound, transparent, and ethical, it passes. In cases where there's no documentary evidence, the classic "he said, she said" scenario, the finding often hinges on a systematic credibility assessment. And that assessment must be neutral and structured. We look at whether the story makes sense, whether the person has a motive to falsify, whether anything corroborates their account, and whether their narrative harmonizes with the probabilities. Modern standards warn us not to rely heavily on body language. Demeanor is too unreliable to be the primary basis for a finding. We also have to avoid legal and subjective traps. Investigators should stick to factual findings, what conduct occurred, rather than making legal declarations like "this was harassment" or "this was a hate crime." The focus should be on whether the conduct violated company policy, and we maintain segregation of duties. The investigator finds facts, but does not decide discipline. Recommendations, if requested, belong in a separate after-action report so they don't contaminate the objectivity of the findings. Finally, findings should be written in clear, confident language. Phrases like "the facts support a finding" show that the conclusion is grounded in evidence and analysis. This is the point where insight becomes outcome, where the investigation produces something leadership can act on with confidence.